Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. It's the Dudley Hilton Show, where we talk University of Pikeville football from Jerry's Restaurant, and it's presented by Appalachian Wireless. The Dudley Hilton Show, and of course, Dudley Hilton, the all-time winningest coach in Kentucky high school history. 345 high school wins, add a couple of college wins, and over a 77% win percentage. 34 consecutive winning seasons, now 2-0, and on his way to number 35. Ladies and gentlemen, our coach, Papa Bear, your coach of the University of Pikeville Bears, Dudley Hilton. Coach, good evening.
Good evening. Good to be here.
2-0. It's got to be good to be anywhere.
Oh, it's a good feeling. You know, I just excited about it and didn't know what I was into, but, you know, you get game one really felt good, and game two felt a little bit better. So, you know, we just hope we can keep on rolling.
Before we go any further, the latest NAI college football rankings out. 3 Mid-South Conference teams in the top 25. Your next opponent ranked 21st in those rankings, but little respect. The Commonwealth already knew all about Dudley Hilton before he arrived on the University of Pikeville campus. Now starting to get some national attention. The Bears receiving votes in the national poll. You've got to be pleased with that.
Well, you know, I think that's good. I think we've made two good games, two good showings so far. And, you know, I guess when you make showings like that, you know, you get some people attention. But one thing we are getting attention to, we're getting our opponents. They're getting our attention too. So, you know, and that's a little scary. So I just think people's really going to start playing harder at us. I know Shorter advertised down there this week. They got an undefeated team coming in. So you know, you got to pay for your press, but we hope we keep getting the press and keep on moving up this ladder.
Nothing new for you. Dudley Hilton's teams, you've worn targets on your back for a lot of years.
Well, you know, if it didn't have the targets, I guess I'd be in this business. But, you know, I always try to put pressure on the football teams, and we always try to win, and that's what we go out every Saturday to do. And, you know, this bunch of boys are really responding to me. I feel like the coaching staff is really working hard, and they're taking pride. And we feel like the community really cares, too. And, you know, I always knew this was a great football area, a good football town. And going back in the heydays of Pikeville High School, you know, right now they're 4-0, and we're 2-0, and we're all in the same city here. So, you know, I knew coming here that I was coming to a great football area, and I can feel it, and then on Saturday, and I can see it on Friday afternoon when the high school plays. And, you know, it's just a good area to get excited for.
Coach Dudley Hilton, the 63-18 win in your opener. Points a little tougher to come by this past week. A 24-17 coming from behind win over Kentucky Wesleyan. Before we talk about the game and the X's and O's and execution and non-execution, let's take first things first. The injury report from this past week. Anything major that we need to be concerned about? No,
and again, you'll find out I won't put too much emphasis on that because injuries are, you know, you hope that it's just a day or two away of getting back on the field. So, you know, right now we're in pretty good shape. You know, always knock on wood on that, and then you know, we're as far as I'm concerned, healthy and ready to go for the next game.
You've got a cap that you wore during summer camp. You broke it out during your high school days. It says "Get Tough." Is that part of that? Those little nagging injuries, you get tough and you play through those if you play for Dudley Hilton?
Well, you know, that's something I've always tried to do, and try to make kids, not make them, but try to make them get up every morning to come to work and come to practice football. And, you know, that's just if you're going to make it in this business of coaching or playing or working, you better get tough and get up when you know, if we stay home every time we feel bad a little bit, I don't know if any of us ever make anything, but you know, that's something we try to strive to do. And our kids are getting tough. I tell you, we don't. Last year when I came in here in the spring, we had a lot of trouble, kids missing practice, and right now we don't even talk about it no more. That's not something in our house we even really talk about, and because they know if they don't get tough, they're not figured in on this football team. And right now everybody wants to be figured in on this team.
Coach Dudley Hilton's Bears 2-0 on the season, and you talk about getting tough, and it brings to mind not just about coaching football and teaching football players, but teaching about the game of life. A lot of life lessons can be learned through football, high school and college football both, because it is true. You've got to get tough in life. Just because you've got a nagging illness, or you can't just miss work, and you can't just take off from life because you've got those little things. Life lessons being taught as well, not just football.
Well, I always taught that in high school, and, I wondered, when I got over here, would there's some things I taught in high school, would it be the same thing in college? But I think it's more important today in college than it was in high school, because now you're at the age, you know, where you got to go to work or go to school and make something out of yourself. And, in high school, you still got a few little choices. Right now in life, you don't have much choice. You're either getting tough and going to class and making a football player, or you're just getting your family in debt for no reason. But things that, life is, this old world's pretty tough, Andrew. And, if you're going to make it, you better get tough. And this old football game's pretty darn tough, too. So if you're going to make it in that, you better get right.
Better get tough if you're going to play for Dudley Hilton. It is the Dudley Hilton Show as we talk University of Pikeville football. It's presented by Appalachian Wireless, coming to you from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. And, Coach, the regular season opener against Point, then a win over Southern Virginia, Kentucky Wesleyan. Last week on this program, you spoke about this team improving each week to be competitive in the Mid-South Conference. Have you seen the improvement that you wanted from week to week?
Well, I think we're growing up as a football team. I think we're pulling together. We know we have to have each other. I think last week when our defense played so well, I think we won the respect of our offensive team as far as if it wasn't for them, we might not be here tonight 2-0. We might be 1-1. But I think I think we're showing respect for each other, and we have a good kicking game now. We got a good offense. We got a good defense, and I think when your teammates show the same respect for each other, they can see how hard we're working in the morning together. And I think, Andrew, if we're getting better, I think we're growing up, and I think we're taking a little bit more responsibility for our actions on the field and off the field. And I think that's where we're improving. We feel good about ourselves. We feel like we're part of something big, and we are. I just feel like administration here at the University of Pikeville, they want a football program, and that's what they're really supporting us. And we're getting so now we're a first class football program, and that's the way we want it.
Last week, 63 points in the win over Southern Virginia. Obviously, we talked a lot about the offensive team. The Mid-South Conference Offensive Player of the Week, Trevor Hoskins, 63 points. You're going to focus on the offense. This week, that game took a little different turn. Your offense, not particularly sharp, and 3 interceptions from Hoskins. Offense struggled a little bit, but we've got to talk about the defense, because there were a couple of spectacular stands that the defensive unit made. First of all, the second quarter drive, just before the half, Kentucky Wesleyan took over at your 31 after an interception. During that drive, they had a 1st and goal from the 8, then a pass interference on 3rd and goal. 1st and goal from the U-Pike 2-yard line, then a 4-play goal line stand. That's pretty impressive from your defensive unit. 12 plays from the 31-yard line, and they're not able to get in the end zone. How much is that a confidence builder for your team?
Well, it was a good a builder for that, but it like to drain all of us to death. I think it wore out our offense. It wore out everybody, because I think the whole everybody was at the ball game, was very tense through those 7 plays down there on the 5-yard line. And I think, we had coaches on their knees. We had coaches biting their fingernails. We had players jumping up and down. And when they came on that 4th down, they didn't make it. And watching those 11 guys run off that field, and watching the whole stands, and watching the players on the sideline greet them. And if you can't get Coach Hills during that, you'll never get Coach Hills of coaching and playing this game. And I think that just really helped us. But I think it did drain us a little bit. But we was able to, go on in the halftime and in the ball game, and came out the second half. I thought our offense played a lot better. And, the last drive they put together, it was unbelievable for them to go down and drive and win the game. And that just put icing on top of the cake when all that happens. But it all went hand in hand. And I feel like if you didn't have the good defensive stand fans. I know somebody made a comment at halftime last year we'd probably been down about 35-6, and could we'd have came back and won the second half. I don't know, but we wasn't. We still in the ball game, and that's just we just stay together, and that's I think that's what it took to win this ball game.
Huge confidence builder, and of course we have a guest on the show tonight. A couple of guests coming up a little later. A guy you know a little bit, John Dudley Hilton, leading tackler for the U-Pike program. Also, your defensive coordinator, Dane Brown, and what impact has he had on this team in changing the defensive mindset?
Well, Dane, he gave up a real good job down in Florida to come back to Kentucky, and he was originally from McGoffin County. So I think he sacrificed a lot with his family and everything to come back here and wanted to coach at University of Pikeville. And when him and I talked, I said, "Now, Dane, you know where you coming back to?" And he said, "Yeah, I was growing up pretty close." And again, we talked early in the year that we wanted the people that wanted to be here. We didn't want nobody to come in here just for a job or just to be a stopping place for a year or so and go on up. And Dane wanted to come back here, and that was good, because I think that's the first thing you got to do if you're going to come into a school. You've got to want to be here. And then I think Coach Brown brought that with him. He was going to make it work. And I challenged him. I said, "Coach Brown, it's going to be a tough job." And he looked right at me in the eye, and he said, "Coach, if I couldn't do it, I wouldn't come." And I said, "Well, when a man says something like that, come on in here and we'll give it a shot." But he's been very easy to work with. I think him and Coach Hollins got along great, and you gotta have that combination of both coaches getting along. I've never had coordinators before. I've always done it myself. Didn't have to worry about no core. Yeah. So when you got two coordinators can see eye to eye on things and talk about personnel and talk about how they want to practice to help each other, then I've kind of died and went to heaven with a situation like that. But been very pleased what Coach Brown has done defensively.
Before we go on, when it comes down to a game situation, you've got a 4th and goal, or you've got a 4th and goal in your football. Does Dudley Hilton then step in and say, "Guys, here's what I'd like to do"?
Well, I don't know when I step in. I was wondering about the other night, Andrew, how we're going to go about the overtime. That's a lot. I've never really thought about how to do the overtime. I'm glad I didn't have those decisions. But Coach Brown, we talked a little bit about some defensive things, and and I think they kind of milked my brain a little bit. And I know Coach Holland and I talked a little bit about some plays and what he could do a little bit offensively there. And I think they know that I've been around a little bit. I've got a few little ideas they pick up on and do, but both of them are very knowledgeable and very, very good coaches. And I'm glad to see them having fun, because both of their sides of the balls are doing great right now with the side of the ball that they're coaching, offense and defense.
The Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. We're talking U-Pike football. The Bears 2-0, and if you haven't seen this team play, you'll want to be at the Hambley Complex next week. The Bears on the road this coming Saturday. But, Coach, I stepped back to ask you your input on the defensive and offensive plays, but with the game on the line this past week, 17-17, 3:49 to go in the game, Kentucky Wesleyan takes over. After your defensive team had made that stand just prior to the half, what's going through your mind after Wesleyan took over, under 4 minutes play, game time? Did you feel confident in your defensive unit there?
Well, I had a big decision there right before that. I go for a field goal, and I didn't go. And of course, that's when you have confidence in your defense. And I think if you didn't have confidence, you'd try to score. But I felt confident that they could get the ball back, and when they did, and we just the offense put on a good drive. But again, making the big plays, and I knew if I kicked the field goal, then they would have probably wide open a little bit more and put a little bit more pressure on their defense. But they didn't want to do nothing to lose the game for their team, so they got a little conservative.
Coach, tonight defensively, another special guest, John Dudley Hilton. 9 tackles in week 1, 8 in week 2. He's the leading tackler on the team. And I would ask you a question about his play, but I don't think you'd say anything good. So I'm going to leave that for Coach Brown. We'll talk with him about John Dudley's play. Talk about some other guys that played big defensively. We saw some guys step up that we didn't necessarily see so much in the first game.
Well, we had a couple of defensive ends that was knocked out of the game the week before, and we had to really scramble to find some good defensive linemen this week. And I thought Coach Stan did a great job of preparing a few kids on that. I thought our secondary played well again. Larry West had another good game, and I thought the other two linebackers with John Dudley there also played well. But again, and I kind of told Coach Brown, the biggest thing we want to do is just make sure we're fundamentally sound, that we not get fooled by trick plays. I think there's been at least two tried trick plays on us so far, and we've been right there. And people don't. We almost blew one or two out of the night that just kind of a mismatch that they figured up, where they ran a tight end down the middle of the field and a linebacker trying to stay with them, and kind of overthrew him just a little bit. But we were close, and as long as you're close and the effort there, and I really thought our defense, played good together. And again, I think that's why. The first touchdown they scored was against their offense, and gosh, that boy ran forever down that sideline over. I didn't know, I thought maybe he was out of bounds coming down through there, but what was that, a 91-yard?
Yeah,
so it's a long ways, but but we bounced back and was able to play defense the rest of the half, and we, but I thought defensively overall, we used a lot of kids, and I tell you, when you play in hot weather this type of year, you better play a lot of kids, and that's what we did defensively.
And, of course, the offense, not a great first half, but when the game was on the line, Trevor Hoskins again came through. Tremendous drive, I think an 73-yard drive down the stretch, and then with under a minute to play, the 21-yard pass to Axel Rivas, hooked up with him a couple of times. When it was on the line, you have to feel confident with Trevor in the shotgun.
Yeah, I think that was good for them, because they was really their backup was up against the wall, and they had a chance to win it for us, and I think that showed the maturity that if we got returning players back, it's Rivas and Amos and Trevor Hoskins and BJ, the running back, and those kids are back. Big Mobley boy at tackle, and you got kids that was there last year. Hunter Adams, a great receiver, and they needed their back up against the wall and see if they'd come through for us, and they showed their character and what kind of people they are. And we looked bad a few times. Give Kentucky Western a little credit, and we got a very young offensive lineman, and we lost our center the week before, and Jesse Hensley was starting for his first time, and that was hard to ask a kid to come in and was on the second or third string for a long time. Then all of a sudden he's on the first string and playing. So, he's had a big week watching his mistakes on the film, but he did a good job, and he's got to keep improving. But for the offensive team to come through like they did, and like I said, we're expecting a lot out of them. And I tell you, when you expect a lot out of them, Drew, it's a lot more pressure, and those kids handle that pressure well. And I was proud of that part of it too.
No doubt about it. And a complete team win. Offense got it done when it counted. Defense was there all night. And again, special teams spectacular. Great. Grayson Quick now, I think 12 of 12 on his extra points. On the last 12, he kicked a field goal as well. So you've got to be pleased with the entire package.
Well, we got that quick kick, and once you got that quick kick, you're all right.
You got it. It's the Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. We'll talk more with the coach in just a little bit about this week's opponent, Shorter, and the Bears traveling to Rome, Georgia, the first road trip of the season. We've got special guests on the way. John Dudley Hilton, the leading tackler for UPike, coming up in just a bit. And coming up next, defensive coordinator Dane Brown. It's the Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless. Welcome back in, the Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. By the way, new burger on the menu. You want to check out the Bear Burger, and I hear it's a monster. It may be a UPike Bear. Check it out, the Bear Burger here at Jerry's. And, of course, Jerry's, your home for the Dudley Hilton Show every Tuesday night at 6:30. And we'll hear more from Papa Bear himself, Dudley Hilton, in just a little bit. Special guest John Dudley Hilton coming your way. Right now joining us, defensive coordinator at the University of Pikeville, Dane Brown. And Coach Brown comes to Pikeville after 3 seasons as a head football coach at Harmony High School in St. Cloud, Florida. Also has served as Associate Director of Football Operations at Northwestern University. And Coach Dane Brown, the defensive coordinator, welcome to Pikeville.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Of course, you've got roots here in the mountains as well. And let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about some of your Eastern Kentucky coaching roots.
Well, I was played my whole high school career at McGough County High School, graduated Morehead State University. Was fortunate to coach, be a coordinator at a couple schools, and was able to land my first head coaching job at my alma mater, and was there for 6 years and really got a good experience working with the kids as a young head coach. I think I was 26 when I started out there, so got my start there, and then obviously from there moved on to Florida and was at a couple schools down there. So,
Coach, impressive defensive effort this past weekend. From a fan and a broadcaster's perspective, we haven't broken down the film, and I know you see things that we don't have an opportunity to see when you look at film, but we've got to talk about the second quarter drive by Kentucky Wesleyan. They took over at your 31 after an interception, and they had a couple of first and goals inside the 10. Tremendous defensive stand by the Bears, and let's talk about that. Talk about how that was a confidence builder for your team.
Well, it was a confidence builder for our team, and it was kind of a eye opener for our coaching staff, simply because when you take over a program, you're not sure how your kids are going to respond to adverse situations, and our guys were put in a tough situation and held for 4 plays, I think it was. Then we had a penalty called, and then they held again. So I felt like they did a really good job. I felt like the effort was there, and I felt like that was kind of a building point for something for us to build on for the rest of the game.
Then with about 3:45 to go in the game, this is the final drive, game tied, and Kentucky Wesleyan takes over near midfield. They get a first down and then a 3 and out. Was that sparked by that first half drive, the confidence this team? The defensive unit seems to gain more confidence every game, every quarter even.
I think anytime you can have success, whether it's on offense, defense, special teams, especially when you have a young group like we have, I definitely think it gave them some confidence, and more importantly, makes them feel like they should keep playing through tough situations.
66 offensive plays for Kentucky Wesleyan in the game on Saturday, thereabout. Noticed a heavy rotation of your players, especially through the first 3 quarters. It's intentional, I guess, to keep players fresh at the end.
Sure, and we have a lot of young guys who are not used to playing 60 minutes of football yet. And we're starting a lot of freshmen and playing a lot of freshmen, and they're used to 48 minutes. And, we're trying to alleviate problems you have with exhaustion and cramps and those kind of things.
You give up 18 points in the opener and then 17 to a good Kentucky Wesleyan team. Your thoughts about the progress of this team from the exhibition against Point to Southern Virginia, Kentucky Wesleyan? Progressively, you're facing better competition, and you'll see another team in shorter. But talk about the progress of this team. How close is it to where you want it to be?
I don't think we're close where we want to be. I think we're improving week to week. The competition is going to get very stiff every week. The competition level is going to improve, and we have to step it up. I think fundamentally we're improving a lot every day. We're becoming better tacklers, becoming sound in coverage. And I think more importantly, the kids are understanding the concepts. So that's the key. They understand where they're supposed to be and what they're supposed to do.
It's the Dudley Hilton Show, talking University of Pikeville football from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. And you're invited to join the coach every Tuesday evening at 6:30 right here from Jerry's. And coming up, we'll hear from John Dudley Hilton, the leading tackler for the Bears, and currently talking with Dane Brown, the defensive coordinator for U-Pike. And Coach, the Bears held Wesleyan to 226 yards total offense, 66 plays, just 2 yards per rush. Overall, were you satisfied with that performance?
We were. We try to not emphasize how many yards we're giving up too much. We're real more concerned about how many points they score. But we do want to hold them to 3 yards per rush or less. And so we feel like if we can do that, we put ourselves in good situations on third down. So we were able to do that.
Coach, I promise none of them are watching, none of them are listening. But for you to talk about some above-average defensive individual performances this past week.
Well, I think you have to start up front. We have like you said, a good rotation going on defensive line. We have a guy named Duke Morrison who's doing a great job at tackle for us, and Chris Ross, who plays our nose, who's doing a fantastic job for us. Both those guys are very unselfish, and they'll pull down double teams to create a pile and allow our linebackers to run to the ball and make plays. So all those guys are doing a great job up front. Obviously, John Dudley led us in tackles and did a great job. Guys like Brandon Teasley, who I think can be an unsung hero and really a great athlete, has learned to become a very good football player.
Sure.
And also Mark Sweet did a good job at linebacker. And then those guys in the secondary for the second week in a row have done a very good job. Larry West, Jade Haddix, Josh.
Still
Simmons,
young guys
who are trying to be where they're supposed to be at all times and do a very good job.
A player you haven't mentioned that we call his name a lot on Saturdays is Josh Salmons. And what a tough kid he is, and doing a nice job defensively as well. John Dudley Hilton leads your team in tackles both weeks. And Dudley says he gets lucky a lot. Do you have anything good to say about it? He's up next.
I've been told not to say too much because maybe his head will swell by. Obviously, I think the whole key to John Dudley doing a great job is that he has some of the things that you can't teach. Right. He has a very good understanding of the game. And he is a student of the game. He understands what people are going to do situationally and puts himself in good positions.
Typical coach's kid.
Yes, sir.
Knows football inside and out, eats it, breathes it, lives it his entire life, and plays it very well. Coach Dane Brown, congratulations, 2-0. Defense a big part of that 2-0 record, and best of luck this week against Shorter. Offensively, what will we see out of Shorter this week?
Shorter's an option team, and that's what they're going to do. And they're very good at it, and they're going to do what they do, and they're not very complex. They just come out and run the option, and you have to play assignment football. So,
how about a big defensive game on Saturday? Let's bring another win back from Georgia.
Let's do that.
All right. Coach Dane Brown, defensive coordinator at the University of Pikeville. When we come back with more of the Dudley Hilton Show, we'll talk with the leading tackler, John Dudley Hilton. Up next, the Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant. Welcome back in. The Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. I'm Andrew Joyce, joined by a special guest now, the leading tackler of the University of Pikeville Bears through 2 games and off to a 2-0 start. 5'11", 225-pound linebacker John Dudley Hilton. Of course, he comes to the University of Pikeville from Bell County, a 2-time first-team All-State selection at Bell County. Started 55 games in his high school career. And John Dudley, first of all, congratulations, 2-0 start. And to you, I've said it to your dad many times. I said it to him back in December. Welcome to Pikeville. We're glad you're here.
Glad to be here. It's a fun time already. It's good to be 2-0. We've already won as many games as we did last year, so I guess we're already improving. So,
55 games in your high school career, 51-4, I believe it was the record, playing under your dad in those 55 games. Now off to a 2-0 start here at the University of Pikeville. Just carrying the old Bell County ways here to Pikeville?
Yeah, I reckon. Our defense is being as stingy as ever. That's the way we were at Bell County, and that's the way we are here now. You play 60 minutes, so only giving up 17 points 60 minutes is pretty impressive. So, yeah.
Pretty impressive indeed. Let's back up and let's talk about what's important. And I think your mama probably would agree with this. Let's not talk about football just yet, but let's talk about education. John Dudley Hilton, you're a student first, and do you have a decided major yet?
I'm a major in biology. And then I'm in the OMSP program here at Pikeville, so if I keep a 3.4 and make a certain grade or make the minimum on the MCAT, then I'm automatic acceptance in the med school. So hopefully I can do that after that. But who knows? It's hard to give up something you love after playing football 4 years. So who knows?
So your goals, as far as football go, play as long as you can.
Play as long as I can. Then hopefully be a doctor. But yeah. It's untelling after 4 years. My heart may still be in football. So,
you're as good a doctor as you are linebacker. I'll be your first patient. All right. First of all, let's back up. How tough of a decision was it for you to decide to play for your dad here at the University of Pikeville? Was it hard at all?
Of course it was. He's mean. No, I'm joking. It wasn't a hard decision at all. It's fun. He is mean though, but I mean he's mean in a good way. It teaches me and makes me better of a football player under him. But I'm excited to have 4 more years, and I look forward to every game, every practice, and you know, in football, I love it, and I'm glad to be doing it with him.
Of course, you say that your dad's mean. He's an old school football coach.
Yeah.
And he comes from the old school. He's been at it 35, 36 years now. Take all that aside. What's it like to play for Dudley Hilton?
It's really fun. I mean, you feel like with having him on your side that every game, no matter who you're playing, big or small, you feel like that you can win. Just because he puts that confidence in you that you can, and then he gives you he prepares you all the way through the week to, I mean, like if we was playing Florida, University of Florida, I mean, he would put it in us that we could win, and I think that's what really helps us being under him is that, I mean, we have the confidence every week in and out that we can win.
A lot of the old school coaches, their players will tell you maybe after their career's over that they would run through a brick wall for those type of coaches. Have your teammates adopted that yet?
I really believe they have. I think they've bought into the system. We're 2-0. They believe that we can win. We have won already, and I feel like now we have the confidence that we feel like we can go 10-0 and do it all. And I hope that's what all they think, and I feel like it is what they think.
All right, you said it. He's mean as a coach. Is he more demanding as a coach or as a father?
As a father, definitely. But he is demanding as a coach, but definitely as a father.
This get tough thing. You've seen the hat, and you know what I'm talking about. It's been a motto that's been adopted. Is that the real Dudley Hilton?
Yes, and I don't even know where that hat came from. I haven't seen it in 4 years at Bell County, and it looks like it's about from the 1940s, but it is a motto that we all usually break out to, and you know, it's important. You got to be tough, and so get tough, and let's win. Basically, is what it means.
Leading tackler of this Bear team through 2 games. How big a deal is that for you?
It's not a big deal because I'm not going to sit here and take all the credit because you got to have 2 outside linebackers that is going to turn them back to you and take on the lead blocker and let me make the tackle, and you got to have defensive linemen is going to play their gaps where, you know, they keep the offensive lineman off me where I can make tackles. And so, I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. I give all the credit back to my other 10 surrounding me. And so, I mean, if it wasn't for those 10, I wouldn't make one tackle.
That defensive stand just prior to the half, you know the one I'm talking about. I'm sure you guys have looked at the tape of that stand several times from last Saturday. And, of course, it's huge. It has to be huge. We've talked about it with both Coach and Coach Brown about the confidence that does. But from a player's perspective, how big a boost was that to the defensive unit?
It was huge. It was the funnest time I've had in probably 2 years of playing football, that goal line stand, just because I feel like all 11 were in on it, and it just wasn't one player making every play out there. It was all 11, and we were jumping up and going crazy when we made the stop, and it's a definite confident boost because it shows that we can do it. You know, so when we're not doing it, we can go back and say, look, we did it, and that's where we need to be. And so, I mean, it really is a confidence boost.
Your first college road trip coming up. It's going to be a little different than traveling down Log Mountain to Middlesboro. Not one of those trips. What are John Dudley Hilton's thoughts leading up to your first college road trip?
I've always kind of wondered how they went. I'm looking forward to leaving the day before and going down and visiting the field, getting on the field, and doing some walkthroughs on the field the day before, and it's a bonding as a team for us, and going down we can all talk and hang out instead of staying here in Pikeville and running around before the night of the game. We'll all be together, and so I'm very excited just to see how it goes, just to go different places and see different things, and I mean, even though it is 8 hours away, it still be fun. I'm excited.
John Dudley Hilton, the leading tackler of the University of Pikeville Bears through 2 games, and he's a coach's son. And whether coach gives him any credit or not, we love seeing 34 coming off the bottom of the pile, and he's done a great job for the Bears so far. John Dudley, thanks for being our guest on your dad's show. Maybe we'll have you back sometime in the next 3 or 4 years. Good luck against Shorter this weekend, and we want everybody healthy and bring back a win.
We will.
All right. John Dudley Hilton. It's the Dudley Hilton Show. We'll have the coach when we return. The Dudley Hilton Show presented by Appalachian Wireless. Welcome back to the Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail, Pikeville. We're here every Tuesday evening at 6:30, and you're invited to join the coach. And Dudley Hilton, this Saturday, the Bears take on Shorter at Rome, Georgia. It's a 1:30 kickoff. We'll have coverage beginning at 1 on Z-Rock 107.5 and online at 1075zrock.com. And that's important. I've actually had responses from some of the players, parents and family that are away from here, and we want to remind you, you can listen to, of course, the games and the Dudley Hilton Show online at 1075zrock.com. Also, the Dudley Hilton Show and the games rebroadcast at Pike TV, and you can check the schedule at piketv.com. But proud to be able to bring those games to some of the family that aren't able to be there. And we know some of our Southern players, they'll have family in attendance this weekend. Some Florida folks will be driving up, South Carolina folks, and some of the Georgia folks I know will be at the game this Saturday that we've heard from. So maybe we'll have some black and orange there as well.
I'd say we will. I'd say we'll have a good following, but it's very important for our parents that's in the other states to be able to get online and get these shows and get the ball games, and I think that's good for our program right here, and it just makes me feel good as being a coach of them that we got people out there that's wanting to listen to our ball game and that can't make these long trips, but we've got several Georgia and South Carolina boys down there, and some Florida kids or parents are coming up to the ball game. So we're about halfway to the ocean from here, aren't we? Down 75. Right. So we take our show on the road pretty far sometimes.
No doubt about it. Of course, the longest road trip of the year coming up this weekend, and you've got 2 games under your belt with the exhibition, 3. How much of a positive is that you already have those games in the experience column and in the win column before you have to take this young team on a road trip?
Well, I think it's very important. I think this is what we needed. We needed the good win that we got last week. Very exciting win, a very close win, and that helps us. If we'd went on one pretty easy, and we might have went to a shocking place this weekend. But being in a barn burner like we were last week, we're nowhere in another dogfight this week, and that's good because we've already been in a good dogfight last week. So you have those things, and you grow from them. But I think that's going to help us to go on a shorter trip, and we know we're going into a very hostile place, a very hard place to go to win, but it's just like I told the boys the other night before the game started. I hope Kentucky Wesleyan can play. We want to play against good teams, and we hope Shorter can play because we'll show up to play.
Of course, Shorter ranked number 21 in the nation after this week's rankings. Before we talk about them and get the scouting report on Shorter, let's talk about the itinerary for the Bear team. What does the road trip look like? When does the team leave, and how do you handle those things?
Well, we'll pull out here Friday morning about 9 o'clock, and it'll take us several hours. To go about 3 hours and stop and have dinner, and then go on to Shorter, and we'll practice a little bit that evening, have our pregame, then we'll go out and eat supper that night in Rome, Georgia, and then get up Saturday morning and have a pregame meal, and it'll be game time. We haven't played in the evening yet. We've always played, or in the afternoon. We always played in the evening, so that's going to be different on us. But I think it's a 1 o'clock, 1:30 kickoff, and I don't know what time we'll be back, but we'll get us a box lunch after the game and head on back and go on these big charters. They let those things go down the highway, so that makes the trip a lot better. But we've got a very good trip planned out, and the only thing really tops it all off is a big win.
Outside of travel, going down the day before and those things, Saturday a typical, if you have a 1:30 home start, is it still just a typical Saturday routine, basically?
Oh yeah, we'll go through our same thing. We'll get to the field about 2 hours before. We'll walk the field and do the things that warm up the same way. We'll treat it just like we would at home or anywhere else. And we've got our kids now going into a pretty good routine. Our coaches feel comfortable with what they're doing, and we just try to keep the routine going. And we don't like to change a whole lot. And I noticed a few things a little different there Friday, Saturday in our game, and I question them, why do we want to do this thing? Sometimes when you get winning, you want to add things to it. The bottom line you want to do is just come every week and get your work done and come back and get the patting on the back and enjoy the week, and that's what we're trying to strive on these kids. Let's don't add anything to it. Let's just go and do what we do. And it's like a business trip, and that's what we'll take when we go to Shorter Friday morning.
Wore the orange jersey Saturday against Kentucky Wesleyan as opposed to the black. Any reason for the change? Is it something you'll stick with?
Boys, we got several combinations, and we don't get in a rut of why we're winning. Sometimes people don't change their underwear because they win. We're not going to get in. That's not why you win. That's not why you lose. You win and lose because you work on the game, you do your fundamental things, and do what you're supposed to. And I don't get in this superstitious and this and that, and I never have done those things because I don't think that's got anything to do with winning and losing. A lot of people believe in that. I believe if you prepare your football team the right way, if you work at it, you take the game serious, and it's not what you wear and what you do, and I don't have nothing to do with it. I've heard people complain about this and that. That's why the game of football is so great. It's the greatest game on earth. You don't know what the weather's going to be. You don't know what it's going to be like, and you're going to play outside, and you're going to play the game. It might take 7 or 8 hours if a storm come through, but you're going to play.
And if you get tough, you're probably going to win more than you lose.
There you go.
Shorter, 21st in the country, 42-10 win over Weber International. Quick scouting report on Shorter. What do you expect to see?
Very controlled offensive team. They're going to try to keep the ball away from us, so we feel like we're a very good offensive team, and I feel like the way you stop our offense is not let us have the ball, and I think they'll be very stingy with it. They'll 3 and 4 yard us to death, and hopefully we've been tackling the football pretty well and making other teams make some mistakes, and maybe we'll get in there and make them make mistakes. But very matured offensive team. They'll really drive the ball down the field. They're an option team. They're a running team. Even though they threw 3 touchdown passes last week, I mean, they might want to make you think you're a running team and throw the ball, but they are known for the running. They got a very nice defensive team, and just listen to Coach Holland talked about the difference between them this year and it was last year. He felt like they got 2 real nice linebackers that they've recruited and brought in that's got a lot of speed that could cause him a little trouble, but I know he's got a good game plan. I know Coach Brown's got a good game plan, and when you play somebody that's a little different from what you practice against, most of the teams that we've played so far, Coach Holland does a lot of those things those teams do. So we had him there to prepare. Now we're talking about a quarterback's going to be underneath the center every play. We're going to talk about a lineman being a 4-point stance. You're talking about a running minded football team, and we haven't really practiced against that, against a team. But I think that's our red shirts. They really practice for what the other team looks like. So, but we'll have a good week of practice preparing for Shorter.
36 years, you've seen an option team a time or two, haven't you?
Well, you play the Belfries and the Johnson Centrals, and they're there, and now I can see the similarity, and you got to prepare. You just can't go in and say, well, this is another ball game. It's not another ball game. This is another team, runs entirely different offense. It's just like Coach Holland. It's another different defense. They do some little wrinkle things that he hadn't seen all year. But basically, that's why you coach for. You got to make your adjustments. And right now, our coaches are doing a great job making these adjustments.
Coach Dudley Hilton, best of luck to you and the Bears this Saturday in Rome, Georgia, to face Shorter. Looking for a win. Bring it back from Georgia, and we'll look to go 3-0.
Thank you.
Coach Dudley Hilton, the Coach Dudley Hilton Show, presented by Appalachian Wireless from Jerry's Restaurant, South Mayo Trail. We'll be back here next Tuesday to talk about a Bears win over Shorter. And, of course, you can hear the game Saturday afternoon, a 1:30 kickoff from Rome. Coverage begins at 1 on Z-Rock 107.5 and, of course, online at 1075zrock.com. For Coach Dudley Hilton, I'm Andrew Joyce.
Ratings are high on that tackle.
That's right. That's right.